Welcome to Bad Tabletop Gaming. I'm Craig, and with me is Andy again. And we're doing Hobby Talk again. This is part 2 in our series. Today we're probably just going to be going over a few things. But first, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you like the content that we are putting out. We like putting it out, and we hope you guys enjoy it. So, today we're going to be talking about choosing models and building lists for your armies. We're going to go over why we've chosen what we've chosen, and how we go about building our lists ourselves. It's different for everybody, but this is just kind of an idea of how we do it.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
So Andy,
yeah,
how do you go about choosing your models?
My models, well, usually it's just pretty much visual appearance of what I like, right? With every legion or army, there's always a certain unit that just kind of grabs my eye.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, for example, the word bearers, the Galvorback and the Zardu and the Blade Slaves are pretty cool looking. I really like the way they look.
I really like them.
So we're
models like that.
Yeah. So yeah, no, a lot of times it's the look for me first. Mm-hmm. There's some legions like not too fancy in, kind of like the Night Lords. I'm not crazy about them, but the Raptors do look pretty neat though.
The Raptors are pretty nice looking models. I mean, for me, as most people know in the community, I don't like Space Wolves. So that's why me and Bill have a lot of grudge matches. I'm not a Space Wolves guy. The Viking Barbarian thing, it doesn't do anything for me. And those models, those Terminator models of theirs with the banana fur. Ooh, man, I felt bad. I felt bad for Bill. I felt bad for all the Space Wolf players when those models came out. Wow. But I digress. For me, it's kind of the same thing. I also do look at things like how good they are in the game. Some models look great, but may not necessarily perform to their point cost, or just perform in general. They may just be an obsolete kind of idea, maybe, especially with the first 2 books. Some of those armies are now fairly old, so the models may not suit 7.5 or the Age of Darkness rulebook. But I mean, if you like them, you like them, right?
It's all in players and your community and how you guys play. I mean, if you have a competitive community and you guys play competitively, then yeah, you guys are hammering out lists and whatnot that pretty much are to play to the challenge of winning, right? And other times I just like fielding those breachers, or fielding 50 tactical Marines, right? Legion.
Well, yeah, no, and I totally get what you're saying there. Our community is a mixed bag. We got some guys that are all true competitive, and we got guys who they're there for the fluff. And again, to each your own. I'm not telling you how to build. We're not telling you how to build your list. We're not telling you what you should play or how you should play. That's up to you and what your community or what you're looking for in gameplay. For us, I do a mixed bag myself. We got a competitive side to our community that I do try to design armies not around, I shouldn't say around, but just in mind. I keep that in mind, that there are competitive style games that we play in, but I also like the fluff. Like, I do like the fluff of certain
I get what you're saying too. Like even with like my Ultramarines as an example, the very Romanesque look, and like I have ideas that just pop in my head, like everybody does, of that Romanesque look. Like I have ideas for making some breachers that look a little bit more fancier, with the crests and whatnot and stuff like that, and even colors, just throwing in a little bit more red, maybe, on the shields and stuff. But at the same time, I kind of go both ways too. Like, I can play and build and go for those tournament style lists, or if I know it's just going to be a casual game, or if it's a narrative or fluffy game, whatever event that we're in, then I tone it down a bit and just throw in some units I haven't used in a long time.
Yeah,
or,
that's...
you know, just try different things out, right? So,
yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of units and vehicles and that aren't utilized as much as they could be. I mean, when was the last time you saw someone play with a whirlwind? Not a whirlwind Scorpius, but a whirlwind.
Yeah, you don't.
You don't. I mean, right. On Marines, they're not useful at all.
It's just there's so much better units out there, and like they keep coming out with new units. So
yeah, they do.
It's bound to happen. So like, there was a time where a Sakaran was in every army, and then
the Venator Sakaran version.
Venator came out, and Arcus is there now.
Yeah, oh yeah, the Arcus. I mean, the meta of the game changes, especially when new armies are released, new units, new vehicles, new everything. It changes the way we think about the playing. And I mean, for me, part of the reason when I designed or started with my list, I started with based on fluff and lore and with the Reapening, because it does allow me to take heavy support choices or heavy support squads as troop choices. Non-compulsory, but troop choices nonetheless. So, I mean, I'm going to be rocking 20 guys, 10 missiles, and 10 Volkites, just because I think they're a great combination. But on top of that, I mean, I still have my Tactical Marines. My Tactical Marines, as you can see, are right here. They're just as key to the game. I mean, a lot of people call them tax Marines. You have to pay that penalty. But, I mean, there's still a place in the game for Tactical Marines.
So there is, and just the other day for the campaign that I've ran for the EDL 30K, there was a match that was played at 5,000 points, and you guys know who you are.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And the one player brought so many Tactical Marines of different types, of course, on the field, and let me tell you, those Sons of Horus look so good on the field in mass. Just the amount of bodies, boots on the ground. I just took a step back, and I was talking to Bill there.
Yeah,
took a step back. And I said, "This is what we need to do. Like we need to get to that point where we're like, let's flood the board with." How it looks like in the covers of the books, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get that feeling, right?
There's the cover of Horse Rising.
Yeah,
it's just a sea of Sons of Horus Marines. It's just a sea of them.
Yeah,
and I mean, some of those larger campaigns, that's the way it was. I mean, Marines are the backbone of any Legion army. Now, obviously, you've got your Solar Ox, you've got your now demons, your what are they called?
Custodes.
That's it. Thank you. They're a dirty word. I try to have them leave. Like, I don't like to say their name. The Custodes. I mean, again, they have their own troop choices. They have their own viability. I mean, I know there's a lot of dislike for Custodes out there. I don't think, especially with the FAQ that's come out, I don't think they're as OP as some people like to say, as they used to be.
It's the thing with, I always kind of look at it, you know what, it's part of the game. It's in there. If you're in that competitive scene, it's in there. It's gonna happen. It's no different than any other game, right?
Yeah.
There's stuff that happens, but at the same token, if you're playing like the missions from the Black Books and you're playing the fluffy kind of list and stuff, whoever you're playing with is gonna, you guys gonna mutually agree that, hey, okay, let's try this, let's try that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, and that's another thing. Like when you're building your lists. And you're playing, you have an opponent to play against, maybe talk with him, discuss, I like to play competitive, or I like to play fluffy. Like, you don't want to go in blind to your opponent and find out he's rocking a Knight's army with a Preferian, and you've got nothing but Marines. Like, it's not going to be a fun time for you. It's probably not going to be a fun time for him either.
And that happens, but, like, that's getting back to, like, picking your models for your army. I mean, hey, I would love to have a full Knight army too. I think they look fantastic, and there's definitely opportunities for modeling.
Oh yes, they're so posable
in certain ways, right? So like maybe not the Polly because
I think just
pretty
giant,
pretty
guns with legs. So,
but it just definitely when you're picking your models or picking your army, go with what you like first.
Go
right?
go with what you like. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean, for me, I picked. I have Grave Wardens. I don't have Death Shroud in my list, even at 2,500 points. Not that they're not a great unit. They just didn't fit the theme I was going with. I was going with firepower, and they have to be in your face. They're an assault unit. They still have their place. I know people are going, well, they're Tartarus Terminator armor, so therefore they're not as good as something like a Sekhmet. And they aren't, but they still have their place. Like Grey or Death Shroud, in close combat against regular Terminators, they will win hands down because they're striking at Initiative 3 with AP2 weapons. Those sides are great. I mean, maybe not great against 2 wound Terminators like Sekhmet or Fire Drakes, but they still have a solid place within the game. And I mean, in a Zone Mortalis game, you can't beat Death Shroud.
Yeah, there's a lot of units that are like that. And I've actually found a lot of the different Legion Terminator specific units.
Yeah.
Like the Red Butchers, for example. Lots of attacks. AP2. They can dish out some damage, but once they start fighting guys with Power Fists and Chain Fists, then
yeah, because they're running around with axes, right?
It doesn't matter what your wounds are. Right?
No.
So,
no.
But yeah, when it comes down like the models and building your lists, you're gonna. When I built my list for my Ultramarines, it was a lot different than what I play right now, and I try to do like an all-rounder.
Yeah, all-comers list.
And I just found that just with the Ultramarines, the all-rounder list, it just wasn't working for me. I couldn't get the synergy going. I couldn't get, sometimes there's like a little, you get a little bit of a boost from other units, right?
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get it going. And then finally I was talking with my friend, and he helped me with the army and kind of started it off the way it is, and then finally progressed it to what it is now.
And it's a great army. It's very thematic, I still think. I mean, with the Ultramarines, they're always a jack of all trades and a master of none. They're good at everything, but they're not great at one specific thing. Maybe you disagree. That's my opinion. That's the way I've always seen them. And that's the thing. Like, I tried to do my own. I tried to do up a list, an Ultramarines list, and I found there were too many units I wanted. I was like, oh, I want this. I need this. Oh, I need this. I need this. Oh, that I would love to do God modeling idea. And it's like, oh, that's 4,000 points. Okay, well, start over again. Pick and choose. And I found that difficult for me. That's one of the reasons why I did kind of steer away from the Ultramarines earlier on in the game. Death Guard were a little easier. Again, like I said, in my 2,500 point list, I don't have Death Shroud. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be getting Death Shroud. They still have their place, and they're still going to be used, especially in. I still think they're a great Zone Mortalis.
Yeah, getting to Zone Mortalis should be interesting because I think you're going to see a lot of units that you normally wouldn't put in your regular army actually excel in that.
Oh yeah,
and it's probably been designed like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like the Breachers. I mean, I've only seen maybe a handful of games with Breachers as the main troop choice, and that's in a big open battlefield. They're not. That's not where they excel at. They excel at the Zone Mortalis. They're meant for breaching buildings and ships and just other things. And I mean, I'm sure the designers of the game definitely had that in mind when they designed Zone Mortalis and certain units. And like you said, certain things are going to excel much better in certain styles of games. Yeah. So I mean, we've been doing a lot of Centurion battles. We've been moving up the point list, and there was units that were in those Centurion battles that just you don't see in the bigger games, but they just performed so well.
Yeah. In
that smaller 1,250 point range.
Contemptor Terminators with dual Curies assault cannons.
Yeah, those Contemptor Dreadnoughts are just
solid bet.
They are a solid choice. Just with where they were in that point list, they're hard to take down. I mean, in a 2,500, 3,000 point game, a couple last cannon shots at that, it's gone, right? But in that 1250 list, there aren't going to be those las cannons there to take him out so easily. So I found that the smaller games had more. You had to really think about what you were going to use and how it was going to work together. There was definitely a lot more synergy involved in those smaller games. And that's something to consider too when you're doing up a list. What size games you're going to be playing?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, a rule of thumb, most tournaments are 2,500 points. LVO, 2020, 2019, 2018, they've always been 2,500 points in that range. For me, I usually base is at 2,500 points, but for this one, I've designed up to 2,500, but I've also designed only up to 1,500. And there are things that you're going to see in my 1,500 point list that you're probably not going to see in my 2,500 point list. And that's just because the game plays differently at different point levels.
Yeah. It all depends on your community too, what you guys play, right? So,
well, I mean, the meta in our own community's changed. Remember when everyone had Spartans, Lightnings, and Scarab Venators? It was guaranteed in just about everyone's list. Oh, and quad mortars, quad guns, dud guns, lots of those. With the Phosphox, they're still really good, even with the experimental rules. I mean, we play with the experimental rules. That doesn't mean you necessarily have to, but I would imagine that you're probably going to see those rules put into play just to speed up the game, because 3 quad launchers with those 3-inch blast templates, that took forever.
Yeah, and I found, because I still use quad launchers, but I find because I take shatter shells with them,
speeds up.
I end up using shatter shells the majority of the time anyways. So
I will be, for the first time in any one of my armies, taking quads. I know, but I felt like they're thematic for the Death Guard. Now, out of all my armies, this is the first time I've ever had them, and part of the reason why I decided to go with them is because of the experimental rules. Just a speeding up of it's a 5-inch blast template, end of story. No 4 3-inch blast templates, and playing against a gentleman with his Death Guard, and I was using a Blood Angels list before the Blood Angels were even out. One turn of shooting, they got 77 wounds on 10 Assault Marines. 77 wounds. It was absolutely brutal. Like, I just couldn't stop it. It was just blast template after blast template after blast template, and it just kept hitting and hitting and hitting, and it was an ugly day. 77 wounds. I remember that. That was 3 years ago. I still remember the number of wounds I got that day. It's just ingrained in my head. So, is there anything else you look for when you're doing a list?
A lot of times it's theme.
Theme? Mm-hmm.
Like, most of the time you think of theme for your army, right? Like, I'm thinking of maybe incorporating like Anvilist drop pods, right? Gotta have a delivery system for those demon units, close combat units, stuff like that. I still have to go through the actual units to make sure that I can do certain things, because it is going to be a very different feel compared to my Ultramarines. So and I kind of want to do different style play. Try not to really take too many of the same units that I've used in the past. I'm sure there'll be a raider of some sort in there, or maybe even a flyer in there somewhere. Just a lot of stuff like that. Psychic powers I'll be able to play around with a little bit. Yeah, Volgar and whatnot. You know, and then Erebus, one of my favorite characters, which everybody probably hates me for.
Well, everybody hates him, so they go hand in hand apparently.
But yeah, it's just that feel of the army and the models, and they're kind of possessed and getting all mutated. It allows you to play with different techniques and whatnot for modeling, and even your bases too, right? Like you can do so much with your bases. Yeah, ruins, all that jazz, right? And
I mean, I'm doing
theme. For me, it's mainly theme.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. Like, I'm going out of my comfort zone in some ways with the Death Guard. Like, I'm taking Devastator squads or heavy support squads. I'm taking only 7 Grave Wardens in a 2,500 point list. So I'm not going to be Terminator heavy, but I am going to have 50 Marines on the board. And I think that's important. Because,
Objective holders and stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, if you've ever seen any of my other larger lists or any of Andy's, Terminators are, like, especially like Sekhmet and Fire Drakes, they're a great unit. They are a great unit, and they're almost an auto take, especially in the Thousand Suns. They're almost like, if you're taking that one rate of war, you have to take Sekhmet.
Yeah, they're kind of built that way, that army.
Yeah.
So myself, I haven't actually, my Ultramarines, I don't use Terminators.
Yeah, you don't actually use Terminators.
No. So yeah, I like them, but my other Terminator, my Fulman Terrace Terminators, I believe, they're just way too expensive.
No, they are very expensive Terminators. So yeah, no, and I get that. Thinking about it, I didn't even realize you didn't have Terminators. Now, I know I've played you several times against I didn't realize you didn't have Terminators. It's so odd.
Usually there's like Caesarian.
Ah, yes, the Caesarian.
Right? But
they feel like
mine don't do so well. They tend to get chopped apart pretty quick.
It's an unfortunate thing with not having. And again, when you're going up against 2-rune Terminators, they're not great. Against regular Terminators, they'll go hard. And again, I think Caesarian in a Zone Mortalis game or smaller games like Centurion battles, they're great.
Yeah, and I have plans for making another side of the Ultramarine force and just kind of just do a close combat, small little section of them, right? Just to make those special looking units to throw in my duelist looking characters and give it the overall Romanesque feel, right, and look. Yeah,
your one Praetor is definitely gladiatorial looking.
Yeah,
awesome conversion. I think you did a wonderful job on him, and he is a focus on one of our battle reports. My Sons of Horus against your Ultramarines, and he ended up my Executioner Praetor. He ended up biting the bullet.
Mantles of Ultramar.
Oh. I died a little inside.
Yeah.
But I digress. So I mean, what it really comes down to when we design lists, it's what we like, the models we like, the fluff, the lore. I mean, as granted as competitive as things can and can't be, I mean, it's still a game, so it still has a competitive side, no matter if it's narrative or not. It's still a game, so it still has some form of competitiveness in it. But really, when it comes down to it, just build what you like.
Yeah, it's your hobby.
It's your hobby.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna bust out your favorite looking units. Might not do so well, but you know what? If you're having fun, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. So, at the end of the day, do what's gonna make you happy and what's gonna be fun, and let haters hate. So on that note, part 3, we're gonna be going over painting and color schemes that we've chosen. Now, we were talking before we were on camera here, and you're looking at taking your painting to the next level.
Yeah.
I myself am doing the same thing. That's why you only see some Tactical Marines and a half-built, partially built Mortarion here, is because everything else is sitting on toothpicks and going to be painted in sections and pieces. That's just because I was really looking at the Grave Wardens. There's pipes and just chainmail and just so much to them.
There's a lot of detail
that if I put everything on, I'm just not going to get it as good as I want it to get. So they're sitting chests. The only thing that's on right now is glued together is legs on bases. And even then, they'll probably get popped off because I'm going to have to do the bases at some point in time. So painting and color schemes and some of the reasons why we've chosen some of the things that we're doing, some of the techniques we're going to be using, that's going to be in part 3. And then we're going to go over that in part 3. Like, that's going to be a big thing. Painting, maybe we'll have a couple painted models or, examples of what we're doing and how we're doing it for part 3. But at the end of the day, we're just enjoying what we're doing right now.
Yep.
So, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you like what we're doing, because we like putting out this content for you guys.